Hello viewers. We always wonder and are inspired by people who achieve the highest success in their chosen profession and careers. It is very aspiring and exciting to know what drives someone to achieve great success in the field of politics. So today, the news crew of the Australian Education Times is present at the office of the Member of New South Wales Legislative Assembly, Dr. Geoffrey, to know about his successful journey in politics. Thank you, Dr. Lee, for giving us time from your busy schedule.
No, thank you, Mossam, and thank you, Stephanie, for coming down to my offices and joining with me and asking me a few questions. What a pleasure it is.
Dr. Lee, please tell us about your schooling in higher education.
Yes, I went to Castle Hill High School, actually, Castle Hill Primary School, and then as soon as in year 10, actually, I was an exchange student over in the USA. So I spent a year over there and graduated from the United States. And after the United States, I wanted to pursue a career in horticulture. So I did a Bachelor of Applied Science in horticulture at the Hawkesbury Agricultural College. So I got an undergraduate degree there. And then I worked for myself for about 10 years. Then I started a Master of Business, an MBA. And then after I finished my MBA in 1999, then I did my doctorate of Business Administration, and I finished that in 2006. Quite a few years in education because I like to learn.
When did you choose to become a politician and why?
I've never been the typical politician in terms of, as a young person, I never actually sat down and said I wanted to be a politician. It was only later in life, after I had my own business for many years, and then I worked for the university, and I did a lot of lobbying in Macquarie Street in State Parliament on behalf of the university, and a lot in Canberra. And then I remember the time when we met a minister and we were lobbying for a program to be funded. And we met with the minister for 20 minutes. The minister sat down, didn't say a word. After 20 minutes, the minister got up, walked out, and I looked at my colleague and I said, there has to be something better to be done. And that was a turning point where I said, well, if we have ministers like this, and I won't say which side of government it was, but if we have ministers like this, we've got to do something better. And that's when I decided that I could potentially add something to the running of our state.
What steps did you take towards becoming a politician?
I'm a very, as I said, unlikely politician, but the biggest thing about it, I think, was have a good background, good education. I think that helps a lot. It circumvents a lot of life experience. But also I had a background in small business where I ran a business for 10 years, and also a background in management and teaching at a University of Western Sydney. So I had a lot of background experience, and I think when I first went into it was about 43, I think I was, so a little bit older than you two. Probably a lot older than you two. But then they say that that's a good time because you have a little bit of experience in life, and perhaps you have some energy left in your life to really make some changes. That's what we're here for.
What personal traits do you have that connect you to this profession?
I think the interesting thing about politics is that politics is actually representative of a lot of people. So in Parliament, you'll see that there's people from small business, self-employed. You see a lot of lawyers, like many lawyers, but you see a lot of people that have been involved in staffers as politics. You see a lot of people that work for corporations. You see doctors. You see a whole range of young people, older people. But what I like most about politics, and why I think I have a match with politics, is because I love to talk to people. I love to get on with people. I like people in general. And I think, half your time is actually set here and you talk to people. You're outside in the street, or you go to meetings and you can stand on the street and talk to people. And I think it's really about listening to the people and making common sense decisions and saying to yourself, does this make sense? And I don't think we do enough on both sides in politics. Is this smart, or is this the right decision we should make for everybody? And we really need that reality check as we go through.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy have you been since you became the Member of Parliament, and why?
What a great question that is, my son. Like every job, you have good days and you have some not so good days. It's being a parliamentarian is incredibly frustrating. When you're first outside, when you're not elected, you think, I can see everything that needs to be done. You know, we need to give more money to schools, we need to fix up the health system, we need to give people houses, we need to pay less tax, we need to have more employment, and all those things, better roads, trains, buses, all those things. When you get there, it's actually there's a lot of compromises you reach. If you had endless money, you could do it all. But the unfortunate thing is you only have a set amount of money, and just like your pocket money, just like living in your mum and dad's house, is that you make choices about how best you can use that money, the limited amount of money for the greatest good. And therefore you make lots of compromises along the way. And yes, we can all see the right answer, but it's about a managed process of delivering what's greatest benefit to the community over the longest time that I think is most important.
Please tell us about your community involvement.
That's one thing that we do a lot of community, and it really is a privilege to be involved in lots of different things. It's things from our schools. We have something like 28 schools in our electorate. We try and go to those schools as much as possible. It's community functions. In fact, Saturday and Sundays are my busiest days. We're always at functions, whether it's a Scouts, whether it's a Guides, whether it's at the local multicultural community group, whether it's the Indians or Indian Australians, Chinese Australians, whether it's Korean Australians, Lebanese Australians. There are many. Parramatta is a wonderful place because we have such a diversity of people that choose to call Australia home, and I think that's part of that experience is about the communities. It could be sporting groups, it could be cultural groups, performance groups, so there's a lot of community involvement. And quite often they come and see you and ask you for things, and you try and help them out if possible.
How do you approach a problem for which there's no definitive answer?
There are many problems that you can't solve. That it's in fact beyond your ability as an MP to solve. And sometimes very difficult issues where there is no one right answer. So different groups will want different outcomes, and quite often those outcomes will be diametrically opposed to each other. So I guess it's you're guided by the principles of we've got to do what's right for the community on the whole. And sometimes that means you make tough decisions, and some people don't like you because of that. And it's sad that you have to do that. Some of those decisions, there's a lot of compromise involved. So whilst one group may not be totally happy, at least the other group's not totally happy. So together, it optimises the situation. So, and a lot of times for those issues, there doesn't seem to be the answer. What you actually do is you ask other people, and I think when you ask other people, the community groups, the stakeholders, the people involved in the problem, they normally know the solutions themselves. So most of the solutions are there. Are they obtainable? Sometimes not, depending how much money or what political will there is to do it.
Have you ever undertaken something just to prove to yourself or others that you can do it?
I think politics was the because I've never aspired to become a politician. That when I first ran for pre-selection, so in the parties, you put up your hand if you belong to a major party, and you put up your hand and you say, I would like to be considered, and then people have to vote you in. And because I didn't have any background in politics prior to my election, well, not that many people knew you in the party, and therefore it's the party people that actually pre-select you to run as the candidate for Parramatta. And so I asked one person, I said, what do you think the chances are of A, me getting pre-selected, and B, then getting elected to the seat of Parramatta? And they said, about 1 in 1,000. And so it's quite a remote thing not to be involved in politics than to come into politics later on in your life. So I think that's been a very interesting journey in my life.
What advice would you like to give to our viewers?
I think the most important thing is study hard. I think one of the greatest things that we offer in New South Wales is a great education throughout different schools, after school, that we offer all those advantages, which, whilst you don't need to go to university or you don't need to go to TAFE, it is a help for people. So do the best you can whilst you're at school. Apply it when you're there, listen to the teacher, listen to your parents, do your homework like you're supposed to, but certainly try and get the highest marks. Now, if you decide to go to university or TAFE after that, that's good. I think that's great. Some people aren't suitable for that, but those who choose, then choose a course that interests you most. when I was working at the university, we had lots of students that were year 11 and 12, and they were making those big decisions about what university, what course they would do. And my view is, no, don't just do it because you think there's a lot of prestige or a lot of money in that course. Do it because you love that career that you're going to be entering. And even if you don't get the marks, the real advantage of education is lifelong learning. So just because you do one course doesn't stop you from changing your career and doing something else later on, or going back to uni, or going back to TAFE. I mean, I was a horticulturist, and then I was an academic, and now I'm a politician. And I think they say with your generation that you'll in fact not just have 3 or 4 or 5 careers, you'll have, 10, 11, 12 different careers in different areas. So I think education's more than the subject matter, it's understanding about critical thinking, being able to have team skills and skills like you've got here today, interview skills, being able to write things and put concepts together, express yourself properly. So I think school has a really valuable part to add, both at the primary, high school, and the tertiary and the higher ed sectors are particularly important.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lee, for sharing an insight of your personality, brilliant career, your education, and your valuable advice to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for your professional and your very kind words, Stephanie, Moshe. Thank you very much, and I'm sure I don't need to wish you all the best, but you'll be very successful with this sort of attitude, so well done, guys.